The first big free agency news of the offseason is officially here, as Bradley Beal has announced his intention to enter unrestricted free agency and look for a new team this offseason. We have been begging him to do this for years, to leave this bum Washington franchise, and he is finally doing it. And while it pains me to say it, I cannot think of a better team for Bradley Beal to end up on than the Boston Celtics. I think it's a perfect fit for both sides, it makes sense, and I am going to tell you why. First things first, to make this trade happen, and yes, it is going to have to be a trade, the Boston Celtics are completely locked up cap-wise for the next season. This trade should, in my opinion, look very similar to this. You're going to send them Jaylen Brown. I know, I'll explain. You're going to have to send the Wizards Jaylen Brown. You're going to send them Daniel Tice, and you may have to throw in a second-round pick as well to equal Bradley Beal. I would say he is slightly more valuable than Jaylen Brown on his own, and Daniel Tice is pretty much worthless in my opinion. Maybe the Wizards think differently and you won't have to throw in a pick, but that's just, Daniel Tice is there to match contracts, so I think you may need to throw in a pick just to make it worth the Wizards' while, and so they don't hold off and get you into some kind of bidding war, because I do think this is better than what most other teams are going to be able to offer for Beal. I feel like the teams that have the assets to get Beal, so not the Lakers and not the Knicks, I know people are rumoring that, oh, they're looking for Beal. They're looking for anybody they can. They live in this fantasy world where they can trade Russell Westbrook. It's not going to happen, okay? Any other team who might be able to afford Beal, I don't think is going to be willing to give up the proper assets. But in Boston, I think a Jaylen Brown for Bradley Beal swap with just throwing in Daniel Tice and a meaningless second-round pick, that's a pretty darn good deal for both sides. Now, the Celtics did just make the finals. I am aware. Before you all start telling me why on earth would they get rid of their second star just to get Bradley Beal, it's not worth it, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have to give up a really good player to get someone really good back, and that really good player is Bradley Beal. And for the Boston Celtics, they have an incredible defense, and their offense is better than it should be, but they also did overachieve offensively this year, and I think the Celtics GM, their general managers, they know this, okay? They know the team shot better from three in the regular season than can be reasonably expected of them going forward. They know that they just don't have a great amount of offensive versatility. They don't have a ton of shooting. They don't have a ton of playmaking, and I don't think Bradley Beal brings that in either, but he is another guy who can play make a little bit better than Jaylen Brown can. Jaylen Brown tends to kind of get stuck in this tunnel vision mode. I think Beal would be an upgrade over him in that area, and just overall, they need to improve their offense if they expect to win an NBA championship. You saw it in the finals. You saw it a lot against the Bucks. You saw it against the Heat as well. The Boston Celtics offense is just a little bit too predictable at the moment. It is not versatile enough. They need more shooting. They need more players they really need a good three-level scorer on this team outside of Tatum and Brown, who can both be a little bit inconsistent. And I think if you trade Jaylen Brown for Bradley Beal, the positives outweigh the negatives. For the Wizards, you get a little bit younger, you improve your defense, and you don't really have much of a choice because Beal has made it clear that he wants to leave. And for the Celtics side, I think this is a big upgrade. Obviously, Bradley Beal is a defensive liability, but I can't think of a better team in the league to hide a weak guard defender like Beal than the Boston Celtics. They absolutely have the long, versatile switching defense to hide the fact that Bradley Beal is not exactly the best player in the world on that end of the floor. And not only is this a win for both teams involved, but this is also a win for Bradley Beal himself. He wants to go to a contender, and he is friends with Jason Tatum. So if you tell him that he's got to sit here and accept his contract and go to the Boston Celtics to play with his buddy and play on the team that just made the finals, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be thrilled. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this is exactly the outcome that he is looking for. This is a win for everyone involved, and if I am the GM of especially Boston, but even if I'm the GM of the Wizards, I am absolutely hitting up the other team and saying, hey, let's make a Bradley Beal trade happen.